I'm throwing up!
Hey, this is me, Zach, and my good friend Jambo at the end of a Super Mario Odyssey 2-player mode speedrun. We're about to enter the final room in the run, 9 seconds ahead of the 1-player world record. But this is where we last left you guys, 1 year ago, after getting the 2-player any percent world record with, at the time, what we considered to be an almost perfect run. So, you might be wondering, how did we get here? And how come 2-player mode is faster than 1-player? Well, this is that story. But to start it, we have to take the clocks all the way back to 2017. For those of you who don't know, Mario Odyssey has a 2-player mode, which lets one person play as Mario and the other plays as Hat, Cappy. Cappy has 2 abilities, the Vault, which allows him to bounce Mario off the ground and in midair, and the Cap Throw, which allows him to move independently of Mario to spawn moons, collect coins, and capture enemies. The first ever 2-player any percent world record was submitted on the 4th of November 2017, a week after the game's release, with a time of 1:56.53 by Chillindude and Chudat. The run is a fun watch despite a struggle with coordination, but this would be the last time we'd see these 2 runners on the podium, as by Christmas, speedrunning legend Shaden and his Cappy player Icky-Trix would submit their first PB with a 1:06.57. These 2 runners were incredibly talented. After grinding for just 1 month, they lowered their PB down to a 1:02.06. And for the tricks and routes known at the time, this run was honestly really impressive. The biggest hurdle that I see new 2-player runners face is finding ways to effectively implement Cappy into their runs. Without a high level of communication, it's very easy for the Mario player to take over and perform most of the run by themselves. And this is a valid way to play 2-player. It doesn't lose any time to do the same movement as you would do in 1-player, but equally you lose out on all of the time save that Cappy can bring. In every single segment of Shaden and Icky-Trix's run, you can clearly see pre-planned and practiced movement and tricks that perfectly utilize both players. Vaults, spawning moons, collecting checkpoints, it's all in here, and despite a handful of mistakes, that time shows it. This run was 2 minutes ahead of Shaden's 1-player world record at the time, which is an astronomical lead that would never be seen again. People were beginning to call this run true any percent, as despite being a separate category on the leaderboard, it was definitely and by no small margin the absolute fastest speedrun of Super Mario Odyssey. Unfortunately, as many of you may already know, Shaden's stint in Mario Odyssey speedrunning was short-lived. Following rule changes that allowed first moonskip to be performed in runs, the only viable version of the game to do runs on was now a 1.0 physical copy. Shaden owned the game digitally, so this version was inaccessible for him without buying the game again, which was enough for him to retire from the speedrunning scene forever. For 242 days, the record stood still, and week by week, the 1-player record was lowered, eventually overtaking 2-player once again in July 2018. However, it's unfair to say that the 2P leaderboard stood completely stagnant during this time. I think it's time to introduce you to a character called Oralme and his good friend Parasite. On the 19th of September 2018, the 2-player record was finally reclaimed by this new pair of runners. However, they didn't stop there. Day after day, they kept doing runs, submitting new PBs to leaderboard multiple times a week. Just 1 month after their first world record, they had already managed to overtake the one-player world record once more with a time of 1:00:33. But this sort of time is where a pretty big question begins to come into play. Can Mario Odyssey be beaten in under 1 hour? Obviously, we know now that yes, of course this is possible, but at the time, runners really weren't so sure. The one-player world record was almost a minute off, which is a lot of time to save on such an optimal run.
I split! What the fuck?
The story of how one-player runners managed to get sub-hour is very well documented, but the story of how two-player runners did it is less frequently told, and arguably a lot more impressive. If it wasn't clear already, Orelmi and Parasite were incredibly talented runners. Every compliment I gave to Shaden and Ikitrix, I could give to these runners with twice as much enthusiasm. Their coordination was on a level that hadn't been seen by any other two-player runners before or for years since. That's why it's no wonder that by Boxing Day of 2018, they'd taken their PB down to an incredible 1:00:01, just 2 seconds away from the once impossible barrier. They wouldn't PB once in January. Meanwhile, one-player runner Chaos Pringle would lower the world record again and again. By the 10th of February 2019, Chaos's world record was a 1:00:20, and we still hadn't heard anything from Orelmi and Parasite. Would two-player stay ahead of one-player? And which category would be the first to achieve sub-hour? Our questions would be answered just 3 days later, when Orelmi released this YouTube video. That's right, Super Mario Odyssey was beaten in under an hour for the first time ever using two-player mode. One-player runners wouldn't manage to achieve this until 1.5 months later with Microvita's famous run. This tale isn't very well known, and I think it's important to remember the true impact that two-player has historically had. But trust me when I say, they didn't stop there. Within just 7 months of sub-hour, Orelmi and Parasite's unfathomable skill and coordination put them mere seconds away from breaking another minute barrier. Unfortunately, at this point, one player wasn't far behind them at all, and this PB would actually be the last time ever two-player was faster than one player. To explain that, I need to introduce you to another new character, Italian runner Tyrone18, who would go on to become the single most skilled, dedicated, and influential speedrunner Mario Odyssey has ever seen. In October of 2019, Tyrone would achieve the first ever sub 59 minute Mario Odyssey speedrun. With Orelmi and Parasite following a week later. 2 days after that, they would get a 58:52, but this is where their two-player journey would quite abruptly come to an end. This would be the last two-player speedrun they ever did together. I'm not sure anyone really knows the reason for their disappearance, although Orelmi would continue to have a pivotal role in the speedrunning community through his incredible contributions to the game's best theoretical time spreadsheets and tasks. Sadly, this time there would be no other two-player runners to swoop in and revive the category. The world record stood still for 632 days. And during this period, Tyrone and Dutch runner Mitch would absolutely obliterate the one-player category, breaking another new minute barrier.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I did it! Ah! Oh.
In July of 2021, runner 04Dude3 would be the first person to end the almost 2-year two-player dry streak by using many of the newly discovered one-player strats, playing Mario with his hands and Cappy with his feet to achieve a 58:35. Still a minute off the one-player world record, but seriously impressive to beat the insane levels of coordination Orelmi and Parasite had by himself. Tyrone would break yet another new minute barrier in May of 2022 with his famous 56:55. And runner Gorgonim would lower the two-player world record by an additional 5 seconds in August.
Oh my god! Let's fucking go!
And that, my friends, is where we come in. In October of 2022, myself and one player runner Jambo realized that we were actually attending the same university and decided to try out a couple of Odyssey 2-player speedruns. I covered our full journey from first run to first world record in great detail with this video here, which I would highly recommend watching if you haven't. But to recap, over the following 5 months we grinded out 2-player speedruns and eventually managed to achieve the 2-player any percent world record with our 57:37. And this is where I last left you guys. You still with me? That was quite a fast recap over 5 years of speedrunning history, but I think to fully understand the story I want to tell today, it's important to know the turbulent history of this frankly insane category. This world record was close to what we considered to be perfect at the time. It was only 47 seconds off our combined best segments, which most runners would consider to be pretty optimal. There were very few mistakes at all, and our levels of optimization and coordination were higher than the category had seen since the days of Oral Me and Parasite's reign. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room. On the 25th of May, 2023, Tyrone would achieve a 1-player world record of 56:40. This was 57 seconds faster than our PB, and 10 seconds faster than our Son of Best. 4 years ago, 2-player was the fastest any percent category in Mario Odyssey, but over that time, the combined efforts of a number of very skilled 1-player runners had put it far, far behind. So, this was our next goal. Make 2-player faster again. But how? For almost a game's lifespan, a small group of incredibly dedicated runners have been maintaining a spreadsheet known as BTT, which stands for Best Theoretical Time. It divides the game up into over 300 individual segments and tracks the fastest recorded completion times of each. Adding these times up gives us an overall perfect runtime, allowing runners to develop a rich understanding of the game's limits to push towards. But why is this important? Well, this spreadsheet tracks both 1-player and 2-player, and as it turns out, the 2-player best theoretical time is a whole minute faster than its counterpart. And it's kind of always been like this. 2-player is just inherently faster than 1-player due to its wide expansion of movement options and exclusive tricks. The discrepancy then between our and Tyrone's world record is simply due to logistics. Being 2 separate people with 2 separate lives, we were only able to see each other a couple times a week at most for practice and runs, where Tyrone often did attempts 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This spreadsheet gave us hope. It proved that 2-player still held the potential it once had to be the fastest Mario Odyssey speedrun, perhaps even by a whole minute. We just had to live up to it. This is our SOB, or Sum of Best Segments. It represents the combined fastest completion times for each individual kingdom we've managed to achieve, and therefore our personal theoretical best run with the tricks and movement we do. After our first world record, it was here at 56 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to leave it in the corner of the screen as I go over all of the time saves we decided to implement. First on the list were a few big tricks we've been avoiding learning. In Sand, we rediscovered an old method of doing dram strat in 2-player. Usually you can't perform this trick in 2D, as in this game mode, Cappy can't interact with anything that's off screen. However, by leaving Cappy by the bullet bill and diving out of the alcove as Mario, you can capture it blindly and warp up. It's possible to skip this uproot capture in the Tower and Wooded with some fast vaults and a precise jump at the end. Also, by performing an almost frame-perfect input, you can moonclip through this wall in flooded pipeways. Reverse Poison in Snow Kingdom uses a speed boost from this Taifu to cross a huge gap. After this, I leave Cappy by another Taifu and navigate him off camera while James collects a moon to perform a capture warp across the room. In Luncheon, with some seriously insane coordination, it's actually faster to route in this Shards moon that runners usually avoid. In Bowser's Kingdom, we re-implemented an old strat from Oral Me and Parasite's run where, by performing a dram on this wire, we can collect this moon quickly, rooting out the Crate moon in the later half of the kingdom. In Moon Kingdom, usually you skip the Moon Cave by going to this Sphinx and performing some pretty easy wall jumps. We added this absolutely crazy version, which abuses an exploit that makes Mario retain rocket flower speed when ground pounding onto Cappy, letting us skip Moon Cave all the way from this ramp. Beyond this, our time saves came from simply working through each segment one by one and optimizing every single moon, jump, and capture. We decided to pause runs for a while to do individual level speed runs of each kingdom, starting with Lost, where we achieved the first ever sub 2 minute completion. From there, our times just kept dropping. After 10 weeks of grinding, we had lowered our sum of best from a 56.50 to a 55.47. At this point, we had the world record for 9 out of the 16 kingdoms in the game. And all of that landed us on the 26th of May, when we went live with the stream title, Any Percent for 56. At this point, Tyrone was the only other person in the world who'd managed to get a sub 57 minute speedrun. So before we could claim the overall Any Percent world record, which was pretty far into the minute barrier, we had to cross that stepping stone first. Over the next couple of weeks, we tried to bring all of our new strats together, which, although fast, were inconsistent. It's worth noting though that at this point, we had both finished all of our final exams for the university year and were able to meet up almost every single day to do runs. So as you might imagine, our consistency went up, and by the 15th of June, just one day after releasing the story of our first world record, our times started dropping.
Yes! Yeah! Finally dead. This is the beginning of a new era, chat.
On the surface, this may have looked like a small PB, but we had managed to beat our iconic 57.37, which, when we got it, we considered to be almost perfect. More than that, we had managed to do it with close to a minute of time loss in Metro and Luncheon alone. Naturally, we felt quite motivated, so after a short ice cream break, we started another attempt.
Holy shit.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that was so early! You did that like a roll early. 58 pillars to 56? I didn't think I'd ever be saying that. Yes! Yes! Go on! Yes! Yes! That's quite good.
It's the second ever in the world.
Just like that, we became the second people ever to beat Super Mario Odyssey in under 57 minutes. And literally on the very next attempt after another PB. We were absolutely elated, and now within 15 seconds of the overall world record. However, as you may have come to expect from our 2-player runs, we had a deadline. At the end of June, both of our contracts for our university accommodation would expire, and we had to move back home over summer before starting our second year. This gave us only 6 more days, and we were determined. We met up every single day, smashing gold after gold, getting pace after pace. We even added Maze Clip, another frame-tight moon clip in Wooded, all in a desperate hope to get the world record before an almost 3-month break. Unfortunately, at this time we were experiencing a huge heatwave, with temps reaching well into the 30s, and my extraordinarily well-insulated student accommodation made it significantly harder to concentrate. Eventually, it got to the 22nd of June, our last day of runs until late September. We went live with what ended up being one of the longest streams on my channel. For over 10 hours, we did attempts in the sweltering heat, and by the early hours of the morning, we started our final run.
Is that it, do you reckon, or
One more.
one more?
Go.
Slide. How was that? Sorry. There it goes.
Is that it?
I think that's it. We've, as I said earlier, we've done all we could. You know, we have done all we could. We've just hit 10 hours. Thank you guys for supporting us on this journey that is by no means over.
So
It's just on hold.
I think our current 2P era has come to a close.
It has. It's come to a close at a 56, 54.
Yeah.
Which, when I messaged you asking about if you want to do 2-player in October, you were like, "Yeah, we can try and get a 59."
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm proud.
I'm proud.
I'm proud that we've contributed.
We have.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It really has been good. See you
Thank you for the
later.
support.
Bye bye.
Our first year of 2P had come to a close. It was bittersweet. As I spent the last few days in this dorm and packed up my stuff, I couldn't help but smile back at the year we'd had. The summer turned out to be a hugely successful time across the board, with James going back to improve his 1-player time by 30 seconds, and I improved mine by almost a minute. We even met up in September to take him on his first ever roller coasters. As it turns out though, we weren't the only people trying to improve on our times. You remember Gorgonin? Well, with his hands and feet, he managed to not only get a 56, but actually take the world record back from us with a 56.49 on the 1st of September.
That's 2P record. That's 2P record.
Tyrone also PB'd by 3 more seconds, slowly but surely increasing the already huge lead he had. 3 months later, returning to uni, we were filled with determination. We may have been knocked down in June, but after settling into my new and much more cozy accommodation, we didn't wait a single second to get back into runs. We needed to take back our seat on the 2-player throne, and maybe achieve the overall world record once and for all. And thus, year 2 of 2-player had begun. For a few weeks though, runs weren't quite going to plan.
This is a really good start.
I think that might be dead.
We were insanely rusty, which was something we anticipated, but perhaps not quite to the degree we were at. Of course though, we kept pushing. It was clear that both of our individual improvements over the summer were coming together into our 2-player runs, and our speedrunning chemistry was only getting stronger. That's how, just 3 weeks after our return, we got onto this run. And it was almost flawless. we entered the final kingdom with the best possible time of 56.29, 25 seconds ahead of our PB, 20 seconds ahead of Gorgonim's 2-player record, and 9 seconds ahead of Tyrone's 1-player record. Heading into the escape section, we had over 100 viewers watching in anticipation, including my extended family who were visiting my parents at the time. Nervous doesn't even begin to describe how we were feeling right now. This was the absolute run of our lives, and only 3 streams into our D-Rust, Jambo broke down this bridge and approached the 2D section. There was just one more hurdle to conquer to secure this record. A new strat we decided to add after the holidays, 2D Skip Skip, or 2DSS. It turns out that this wall in the escape section of Moon has some absolutely minuscule collision boxes that you can barely jump on as Bowser. Making it all the way to the top skips the 2D section, and thus 2D Skip, hence the name. If done successfully, this trick saves 8 seconds. However, there's a catch. Many people consider this to be one of, if not the hardest trick in the whole game. It is unfathomably difficult, being only a minute from the end of the run. When you consider the monumental amount of nerves and pressure Jambo's feeling, it would be nothing short of a miracle if he...
I'm throwing up!
Oh,
Okay.
he did
Okay.
it. You can see the relief on our faces. To us, this record was secured. There was only 1 minute of the run left, and with a 9-second lead, absolutely nothing could stop us now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry! Nah!
Defeat doesn't even begin to sum it up. This silly, stupid, insane little mistake cost us a run we weren't sure we could ever recreate, and it plagued Jambo's mind for weeks since. He couldn't shake it. Every time we got to pillars since, it came back to haunt him. He told me at one point he was replaying it in his head when he tried to sleep. The next few weeks of runs felt like the lowest of lows. We held out so much hope we would simply get another pace like that again, but of course we never did. It wasn't until 1 month later that we would leave Bowser's ahead of our PB again. A very close Mooncave skip and second try at 2DSS would finally give us back the 2-player world record.
Yes! Come on! Oh my
That's a
God.
good start.
Although it felt fantastic to be on top again, thoughts of that one run kept coming back. We knew that this didn't live up to our potential. Shortly after, Tyrone would achieve a new 1-player world record of 56.28, an incomprehensibly impressive run.
Holy fuck! Oh god!
In a normal timeline, this run probably would have terrified us, as his lead was increasing at a rate we couldn't keep up with. However, to a degree, it put our minds at ease. The run we killed almost a month ago was 56.29 pace. If it had PB'd, Tyrone would have overtaken us anyway, meaning we would have had to keep grinding either way. As the trend would continue though, an enemy perhaps even larger than Tyrone's incredible skill was approaching. The Christmas holidays. A couple more weeks of fruitless attempts already put us in December, just 2 weeks away from when we'd be going home to our families for the holidays. With exams throughout January, we wouldn't be able to start attempts again until almost 2 months later. But with the level of consistency we were at and the terrifying rate of Tyrone's improvement, it simply wasn't looking possible we could even get the overall record. To beat a 56.28, we would have to play better than we've ever played before. And if we didn't manage to do it, there's a chance that after a 2-month break, and who knows how much derusting, the gap would just be too large. In even colder and darker nights, the now 20-minute walk to my new accommodation was also taking its toll, and we just couldn't find the time to fit in as many play sessions as we'd need to raise our consistency. What we needed was something new, something big, something that would just give us the edge we needed. With a few hours of testing, Jambo and I had found a reroute for the entirety of Luncheon Kingdom. Usually you do a big jump at the beginning to skip the Sphere boss fight, visit the town once to collect this Pillar Moon, do some big jumps over the lava to grab this Salt Island Moon, and then come back later with a golden turnip. Obviously, there's a big problem here. Backtracking. What if there was a way that we could skip this first town visit and grab all of the moons at once later on? As it turns out, using 2-player, not only is this possible, but 5 seconds faster. And you can do it like this. 5 seconds may not sound like much, but it may just be the exact edge we needed. It came at an absolutely perfect time, just as our hope was dwindling. One caveat to this new route though is it is, well, insanely difficult, and our next few sessions had us throwing ourselves at it over and over. We practiced it extensively, but it was only a matter of time before it would all come together in a full run, right? The date was the 14th of December, our absolute final stream of 2023. James was going home the next day, so this really was our last chance. We did runs, we got paces, and new best kingdom times, but the perfect run we needed just never seemed to come together. Hours passed, and our spirits were dwindling, so we decided to do just one last run. I did it.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so bad. That was gold pace as well.
It was very gold pace. Well, we tried. We gave it our best shot, but it looked like we'd be ending 2023 without the overall record. Well, Mary?
Yeah. Oh, what are you saying? Reset and go again? Go on.
Last try, chat. It was approaching 2 AM, but why not give it just one more try, right? Just for fun? If this run died, we had every intention of ending stream and calling it a year. And, as we expected, it didn't go very well. We missed the burdened sand. Oh, I thought you were going to do
That's what
something.
we've been doing all stream, is you getting it?
I know. Missed triple jump late clip, losing 7 seconds, and then backed it up pretty badly. And sloppy movement all around put us 25 seconds behind our best lake exit. There wasn't a single doubt in our minds that this run was dead. If it wasn't the final run of the whole year, we would have reset it right there and then. But James said this.
To get a 17-1x.
We need like a 37.
Let's just get a 437.
What he meant here is that if we wanted any chance whatsoever of PBing, we'd need a 437 Wooded Kingdom. Our world record for Wooded at the time was a 438, so this was obviously intended as a complete joke. Of course we weren't going to beat the Wooded world record in this run. Well, here's what happened. Too good.
I don't know.
Where was the time was? Oh, the
Okay.
the rock at the start.
It's a 437.
About
I was like, you know,
the run.
what, why don't we just get a 437? And we just got a 437.
By what I can only describe as a Christmas miracle, we got exactly that. A 437 Wooded, which stood as the world record for that kingdom for months, a 1719 Wooded exit, and a previously written off run that now had just a small glimmer of hope.
all those mistakes and still a 42.
It's crazy. Is that our best luncheon episode?
It's got to be. Alright, could someone pace mount? Say that we have 5611 VP2 into the room. I'm so good at that, chat. I'm so good at that. Okay, he's in a fetal position, for those of you curious. What are you contemplating?
I'm just calm.
Oh no, it's like a knife. It's all wax. That's funny too.
Oh my god.
I'm shaking so much. For the first time in over 4 years, the 2p world record is faster than the 1p world record.
Sorry, I need to compose myself.
The first time in 4 years.
We had just completed Super Mario Odyssey faster than anyone in history. Faster than any other 2-player runners, and faster than any other 1-player runner. It's something that I still struggle to wrap my head around, and both of us could not have been more delighted. It really was a feeling like no other, and this run truly was a miracle. No amount of storytelling or fancy editing can express how insane it was that we got this world record. The absolute final run of the final stream of the year, dead by lake, revived by wooded, and clutched out by an almost unbeatable late game. Without our new luncheon discovery or Jambo's incredible consistency at 2DSS, this never would have happened. Thank you everybody who watched this video till the end, and everybody who supported our journey on my live streams. Thank you Tyrone for being a constant pillar of perfection that we will always look up to, and for endlessly pushing the game past every boundary that's set. I just want to make it clear that despite this video showing a friendly competition between 1-player and 2-player, when it comes down to comparing PBs, there's no question that Tyrone's skill and consistency is on an entirely different order of magnitude to ours. We will never even come close to what he can do. And I really hope that all of you watching go and check him out and support and encourage him on his journey towards the next minute barrier. Thank you Gorgonim for always keeping us on our toes and pushing 2-player to be constantly more optimized. Thank you Lupus, Cherry Kerry, and James for providing your infinitely helpful feedback through the production of this video, helping me to push the quality even higher. And of course, thank you James for being the single best 2P partner, streaming buddy, and friend I could have possibly asked for. Also, you can find the full world record and loads of other really cool speedruns on Jambo's channel, which I've linked in the description. And one more thing, I recently got YouTube partner on my channel, which means I unlocked channel memberships. I haven't really made a video since I got this, there are only a couple of members right now, including superstar level member Crunchy Spawn. But if you want to join these two on screen at the end of each video, watch new videos like this before they come out, get a custom badge next to your name and more, click the join button next to my channel. Our plans for 2024 were quite big. As you might have noticed, we were getting tantalizingly close to breaking the next and perhaps final minute barrier this game has to offer. But until then, we parted ways and went home to enjoy our Christmas holidays, confident our position on the leaderboard was firmly secured.
Am I here or not? Holy shit!